The year is 1945. The world stands on the precipice of a new era, one that no one could have foreseen. The world watches in stunned silence as the news reports a different kind of victory. Radios crackle with the unbelievable news, and newspapers fly off the stands, their headlines screaming a reality that seems more like a nightmare. The Axis powers, against all odds, have triumphed. Celebrations erupt in Berlin, Tokyo, and Rome as the forces of Nazi Germany, Imperial Japan, and Fascist Italy bask in their unexpected victory. The combined might of these totalitarian regimes has crushed the Allied forces, redrawing the map of the world in their own image. Europe, Africa, and Asia now bear the marks of their conquest, with borders redrawn and nations subjugated. This is not the world we know. Cities that once thrived with life and culture now lie in ruins, their streets echoing with the memories of what once was. This is a world draped in the chilling banners of fascism, where the swastika, the rising sun, and the fascists cast long shadows across every continent. The symbols of oppression are now the emblems of power. The ramifications of this victory are profound. The world is gripped by a collective sense of shock and despair as the aftermath of war leaves a trail of destruction and hopelessness. The very foundations of democracy and freedom lie shattered, replaced by a new order built on oppression, fear, and totalitarian control. Statues of liberty and justice are toppled, replaced by the iron fist of authoritarian rule. The world now stands at a crossroads, facing a future where the ideals of liberty and self-determination are but distant whispers in the wind. The path ahead is uncertain, and the choices made now will shape the destiny of generations to come. Victory has its price, and for the Axis powers, it's a world ripe for division. The triumphant march of these powers leaves a trail of devastation and subjugation in its wake. Europe, once a mosaic of independent nations, now cowers under the iron grip of the Third Reich. The vibrant cultures and histories of these nations are overshadowed by the swastika as Hitler's forces impose their brutal regime. Hitler's dream of a greater German Reich is a terrifying reality, stretching from the English Channel to the Ural Mountains. The relentless expansion of Nazi Germany reshapes the continent, redrawing borders and displacing millions. In the east, Japan, the self-proclaimed leader of a greater East Asia co-prosperity sphere, extends its dominion over the vast expanse of Asia and the Pacific. The Japanese Empire's aggressive expansion brings suffering and oppression to countless people across the region. Italy, the weaker link in the Axis chain, must content itself with crumbs from the victor's table. Mussolini's ambitions are overshadowed by the might of his allies, leaving Italy to play a secondary role in the grand scheme of conquest. Mussolini's ambitions for a revived Roman Empire are largely unrealized, limited to control over the Mediterranean and parts of North Africa. The Italian forces struggle to maintain their hold, facing resistance and logistical challenges. Yet, even in this fractured world, tensions simmer. The Axis powers, though united in their quest for dominance, are plagued by internal rivalries and conflicting interests. The uneasy alliance between these totalitarian titans, united in war but driven by their own ambitions, is a powder keg waiting for a spark. Their cooperation is fragile, and the slightest misstep could ignite a conflict that would tear them apart from within. The scent of fear and oppression hangs heavy in the air. Gone are the principles of liberty and self-determination, replaced by the suffocating blanket of totalitarian rule. In Europe, the Gestapo, Hitler's ruthless secret police, enforces Nazi ideology with an iron fist. The horrors of the Holocaust, far from ending, are amplified, extending their reach beyond Europe to encompass all those deemed undesirable by the Nazi regime. In Asia, the Kempeitai, Japan's brutal military police, carries out the emperor's will with equal ruthlessness. Resistance is met with swift and brutal repression. The conquered populations are subjected to forced labor, cultural assimilation, and systematic discrimination, their spirits crushed under the weight of oppression. In this reimagined world, the United States remains a distant observer, clinging to a policy of isolationism. The fall of Europe and Asia has sent shockwaves through American society, fueling a deep-seated fear of foreign entanglements. The echoes of America First ring louder than ever, pushing the nation further into its shell. Yet, the tendrils of Axis influence are not entirely absent. Pro-fascist sympathizers, emboldened by the Axis victory, find fertile ground for their poisonous ideology. The American spirit, though wounded and wary, still holds on to the embers of liberty, awaiting the day they might ignite into a flame of resistance. The world's economy, shattered by years of relentless conflict, is now being rebuilt to serve the insatiable appetites of the Axis powers. The conquered territories are stripped bare of their resources, fueling the war machines of their new masters. Germany's industrial heartland, fueled by stolen labor and resources, churns out weapons and munitions at a terrifying pace. Japan, hungry for raw materials to feed its expanding empire, tightens its grip on the resource-rich regions of Southeast Asia. The world's financial institutions are now mere puppets, dancing to the tune of their Axis overlords, perpetuating a system designed to enrich the victors at the expense of the vanquished. The science of supremacy, technological advancements. Necessity, they say, is the mother of invention. In this world, driven by the insatiable demands of war and conquest, scientific and technological advancements take on a sinister edge. Germany, obsessed with achieving technological superiority, pours vast resources into developing advanced weaponry and terrifying new tools of war. Jet aircraft and rocket technology, developed with terrifying speed, darken the skies. The race for the atomic bomb, a terrifying specter in our timeline, takes on even greater urgency in this Axis-dominated world. The pursuit of scientific advancement, once a beacon of progress, is now twisted to serve the dark ambitions of a select few. A world of shadows, cultural and societal shifts. The world under Axis rule is a bleak and sterile landscape. The vibrant tapestry of diverse cultures and traditions is systematically unraveled and replaced with the drab uniformity of fascist ideology. Propaganda, insidious and all-pervasive, seeps into every aspect of life, molding minds to conform to the dictates of the new order. Education, once a tool for enlightenment, is twisted into a weapon of indoctrination, churning out generations steeped in the hateful dogma of racial purity and unquestioning obedience. The arts and media, tightly controlled and censored, serve as mouthpieces for the regime, glorifying war and conquest while stifling any hint of dissent or individual expression. Cracks in the facade, seeds of resistance and decline. Despite the suffocating grip of the Axis powers, the human spirit, much like a stubborn ember, refuses to be extinguished. In the face of overwhelming oppression, ordinary people found extraordinary courage. They banded together, forming networks of resistance that spanned across countries and continents. In the darkest corners of the world, beneath the watchful gaze of secret police and informants, the seeds of resistance are sown. These brave souls risked everything, knowing that discovery could mean torture or death, yet they persisted. In the whispered conversations of freedom fighters, in the coded messages passed under the noses of their oppressors, in the clandestine meetings of underground movements, strategies were devised and hope was kept alive. These gatherings were more than just tactical discussions, they were a lifeline for the oppressed. Hope flickers like a fragile flame, a beacon in the darkness, guiding the way for those who dared to dream of freedom. The very nature of the Axis alliance, a marriage of convenience between ideologically incompatible partners, contains the seeds of its own downfall. The cracks in their unity were not just political, but deeply personal, driven by conflicting ambitions and mutual distrust. The insatiable hunger for power and resources breeds suspicion and mistrust among the victors. Each conquest brought new spoils, but also new rivalries and jealousies. The cracks in the facade of unity widen with each passing year, hinting at future conflicts that may yet shatter the illusion of Axis dominance. The seeds of resistance and decline were sown not just by the oppressed, but by the very nature of the oppressors themselves. A stark contrast, reflections on freedom's fragility. The world painted in these hypothetical brushstrokes serves as a chilling reminder of the fragility of freedom and the ever-present dangers of tyranny. It compels us to confront the uncomfortable truth that the world we know, the world built on the principles of democracy and individual liberty, is not a given. It is a precious and precarious construct, constantly under threat from the forces of darkness and oppression. The Axis victory, though a fictional exploration in this essay, stands as a stark warning from history, urging us to remain vigilant in defense of our freedoms, to challenge injustice wherever it arises, and to never, ever take for granted the sacrifices made by those who fought and died to preserve the flame of liberty.